Another fantastic crowd here at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum in downtown Milwaukee for Marquette Thursdays. A big win this week as Marquette hosted Villanova on Monday, 87-74 the final score there. Bouncing back after 2 straight losses, Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, Oso Iguodaro combining to score 61 points on 70% shooting in the win, and the Golden Eagles now find themselves at 3-3 in conference play. I'm Jen Latta. Sitting next to me is the man that needs no introduction, head coach Shaka Smart of your Marquette Golden Eagles. And coach, before we get to the big win this week and look ahead towards the schedule your team has, we had a really terrific moment at the game on Monday as Marquette legend and NBA champion Dwayne Wade announced he and his family are making a $3 million gift to Marquette, the university announcing on Monday the gift will grow literacy and scholarships as well as help pay for a brand new practice facility for the men's basketball team. The court will be named Dwayne Wade Court. Let's hear from Wade on his generous gift to Marquette.
Understanding that even in the moments in life where we haven't had a lot, we've still been blessed enough to have something. And then I'll always come, that into our minds that there's other people out there who have even less than we have. So giving back has always been, as a family, we all do it in our different ways and different foundations, because we know where we come from. And so, as Fred said, to be able to be here, coming in Marquette in the year 2000, now it's 2024. Never even envisioned it on the former side of things, but it's pretty cool.
Dwayne Wade certainly representing the best of Marquette. Coach, what does something like that mean to your program?
Well, Dwayne Wade's impact at Marquette is immeasurable. So it's even more than the gift that he's given back. It's obviously what he did on the court, the way that he moved so many people while he was here, the way he's continued to impact Marquette students and fans as an alum, and now him really demonstrating a level of commitment to not only the basketball program but the university. He's been focused on childhood literacy for a long time. Him and Tregill, his sister. It goes beyond kind of a measurement in terms of the impact he's having. And as I reminded him the other day, we're undefeated when he's at our games, so we love having him around. And he has this positive energy about him that it kind of belies the fact that he's this worldwide icon who easily could walk around with a sense of entitlement or, act like he's better than people. But, the times that he's been with us, and it's been several now, Monday in Hawaii, over the summer, going back to last year, coming to a game when we honored the 2003 Final Four team during the season and the event that they had a couple Augusts ago. Every single time you get the same Dwayne Wade. You get humility, you get positive energy, and you get a true dedication and love for Marquette and the people that make Marquette what it is and have made it what it is. And that's really special.
It does feel like we are very lucky to have somebody of his character representing the university and the program as well. I know he spoke to your team before and after the win on Monday. What was his message to them going into the game?
Well, I typically talk before the game and then after the game. Anytime you got a Dwayne Wade or, Doc came to a game last year, someone like that in the house, you turn it over to them and let them take the talk. And before the game, he said a few things. The thing that stood out the most was we have to win. We have to win this game, is what he said to the guys. And, that can go both ways for sure. But I love the sincerity that he had. And obviously coming from a guy who's been in, do or die situations, game sevens of NBA finals. He knows how that feels. We weren't in a game 7. But there certainly was a level of desperation that we needed to play with. And then after the game, it was almost like he won, because he feels so connected to our guys and our team. And just so happened that yesterday was his birthday. And so, we're just really, really appreciative to have him as part of our program and part of our university.
I wonder what it means to the guys to know that they could, if they needed to, and I genuinely feel this way, reach out to him and say, give me some advice on this space. And is that channel open where if your guys were like, I'm looking for suggestions or guidance in this situation, Dwayne Wade would be there for this team?
He would. It's interesting. I've learned over the years players can be a little bit hesitant to reach out to guys that are, NBA players because it's like they look at them on TV. But what's different about today's day and age compared to when I grew up is we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the guy's number that we could just contact. And that's the type of guy he is. When we were together in Hawaii, he was with our team. And all he wanted to do really was just be around the guys and be around the team. And so we were on a boat in the Pacific Ocean at one point the day before we played UCLA. And I was just kind of singling guys out, hey, come over and, get some wisdom from D. Wade. And it was really, really powerful.
And I love that because it does feel like he has so much to offer, especially when guys walk away from the game, whether that's under their own accord or because the game retires them. They say the thing that they miss the most is the camaraderie. So I'm
Yes.
sure he was eating up this chance to kind of be back in that space with your guys.
Kevin Durant was the same way at Texas, the exact same way. His favorite thing was just coming and sitting in the locker room and being around the guys. And you can tell with Dwayne, that's when he's kind of most relaxed, as he's just around players. A couple summers ago, he came. No, this was last summer. He was around, and we went in the locker room, and he was just sitting down, kind of like laying back, and then just going back and forth with the guys, talking about stuff on the court and off. So, again, can't say enough how grateful we are for him and the impact that he has on our guys.
We have a few more meaningful comments from Dwayne Wade from Monday when he was with the Marquette basketball team. Let's take a listen to those.
Coming back here, it feels like this is part of my purpose. And I go back to my journey here and how I got here. And I just want to make sure that in this university I'm going to change my life. There's so many others that the same opportunity. And that's for me, and also a word I've said a lot today, but that's a word that means everything to a kid like me. So many kids in the world, so many believe in me. And Marquette gave me that. So from that jump start, I've been able to offer just incredible things. And so it's important for me, not because I don't want to name it, which is not a bad thing, but I want to make sure that I'm always talking about when the door opens, not squeezing through that door and letting it close behind me, holding it open. And this is an opportunity to open the doors for the next generation.
Dwayne Wade, always thoughtful. Dwayne Wade, always generous. And Marquette, because as I mentioned, feels very lucky to be associated with him. Monday was also Martin Luther King Day. Your team was wearing warm-up shirts that said, the time is always right to do what is right. That, of course, honoring a pioneer in the civil rights movement. What conversations have you had with your young men about Dr. King's legacy, particularly as you're playing on Monday?
Yeah, one of the things that I do every year on Dr. King Day is I send our guys, actually the night before, I send them one of the last interviews that he did, which is something that I've listened to and watched many, many times because, and it's a long interview, it's about 25 minutes. It kind of lays out the evolution that he made and kind of where he ended up near the end of his life. And there was a lot of things going on. He had gone from, demonstrating for, equal rights to be able to, sit at a lunch counter or ride on a bus to the March on Washington, the I Have a Dream speech, to, trying to galvanize people even beyond civil rights. And this interview, again, it lets people in on who he had become, and it goes beyond just quotes. Quotes only tell you so much. And so I don't know how many of our guys watch it. Some of them that I ask them about it, we engage in conversations, but, sometimes when the student's ready, the teacher appears. and different guys are ready at different times. But it's very important for them to know, what Dr. King stood for.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Coach. We have so much more to get to about the big win from Monday and, of course, this daunting road task that your team has ahead of you coming up. We will get to all of that right after this, but before we do, enjoy an artfully stylish experience at St. Kate the Arts Hotel with deluxe accommodations, culinary creativity, on-site art galleries, and nightly live music. You'll enjoy every element of your stay at St. Kate. Learn more at stkatearts.com. That's stkatearts.com. More with Shaka Smart right after this on the Marquette Basketball Hour, Marquette Thursdays from Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum. zeroinwisconsin.gov to learn more. Zero in Wisconsin. Together we can save lives. Wisconsin DOT. Now, the Big Three got a lot of attention for the win earlier this week, but it was a total team effort from Marquette as they beat Villanova. We always want to know what the theme is. You were just joking with me that you've moved on to the next one. The caveat, of course, is you don't let me ask ahead of time, so I got to ask about last game. What was the theme for the Villanova game?
You know what? I just went back in my phone and looked because I'm so locked in on our theme for the next game. And normally I would tell you, but I can't tell you that one because it's kind of a bulletin board material-ish thing. But suffice it to say, it's something about, aggressiveness, and wanted to be the aggressor.
We mentioned that the score was 87-74, and Marquette had its best shooting day of the season. You have told us when we've chatted ahead of this that you can sometimes feel the vibe of the team, often feel the vibe of the team. What was it going into that game? Did you know that in particular those three that we mentioned were going to have big days?
Well, I thought those guys were really focused and locked in. And then there's a level of desperation and humility that comes out of the game or games that led into the Villanova game. And so I thought, particularly with Tyler and Cam, that those guys would really, really be locked in and that they would be driven. Cam was coming off some rough shooting games, and I have got ultimate confidence in him, so it's just a matter of time before the ball's going to go in more often from him. He only took 4 threes in the Villanova game. He made 2 of them. But he's really lately been doing a terrific job going to the basket and creating opportunities in the paint.
You had said after the game, anytime you lose a couple of games, particularly the way we lost our last game and the way we played on offense and shot the ball, there has to be some doubt overcome. How do you overcome doubt and effectively battle doubt when it creeps in?
Well, you got to make something else bigger than the doubt, because if you ignore the doubt or avoid the doubt, it's still going to be there, but you got to make playing the game for your teammates. The common bond that you share that says Marquette on all of our chests. Having a chip on your shoulder in terms of, having something to prove, which we don't have a bunch of McDonald's All-Americans in here. These are Burger King All-Americans. These are guys that were under-recruited. I mean, look at our roster. We don't have guys that we beat Villanova on in recruiting. And I told the guys before the game, how many of you guys were offered a scholarship by Villanova? None. And so you got to find something that's larger than that doubt, and that's collectively but also individually, and I thought our guys did a good job of doing that.
Hanging out with Shaka Smart here at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson
Can
Museum.
I say one thing? I really enjoy this venue here at Motor.
Yeah.
I think this is a great venue. I like the staff here a lot, and it just seems like a more intimate setting than maybe certain places we've been in the past.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the crowds have been great every single time.
They have been great.
And so I'm grateful that we're here.
Yeah, this is a great spot. It's got a really nice vibe to it, doesn't it, guys? Give it up for Motor Bar and Restaurant hosting us here every Thursday during the season. I want to talk a little about the game plan against Villanova. You and I have talked about how you guys prioritize where you're going to take shots, and I know you prioritize threes and inside, but the team has not been shooting threes particularly well. So how much did that play into the game plan? Because according to these notes I have here, in the last game you outscored Villanova by 42 in the paint, 60 total points inside. Walk me through the thought process of how you thought that game was going to go.
Well, the game plan is never we're going to score 60 points in the paint.
No, you don't plan that?
If it was, then you do that every single time. And the game plan is also not we're going to get X number of shots from this spot, X number of shots from that spot. The way we do it is, we believe in good, open, three-point shots for our team, and then shots in the deep paint. We feel like any other type of shot is a lower percentage shot. That doesn't mean you can't make it. And so that's how we kind of do our shot breakdown, and we'd like to get 80% of our shots either open threes for good shooters or shots in the deep paint for any of our guys. And again, as you mentioned, the three-point shooting can be volatile. It can be up and down. I believe in, Cam Jones, Tyler Kolek, David Joplin, Ben Gold, Stevie Mitchell, our guys to step up and make those shots. But some games you're going to shoot better than others. Our guys did a really good job of attacking what was there. Villanova has a lot of strengths, but one thing they don't have relative to maybe some of the other teams we play, they don't have like a 7-footer in there that's blocking 100 shots. So we did feel like we could get to the basket and get in there and go finish. They don't foul very much, but we were able to kind of space the floor out and get in the paint.
The assist-to-turnover ratio was also something that jumped off the stat sheet. 24-3. Oso Iguodaro contributed a season-high 5. Now, we have talked at times about Oso and the evolution of his game and him being more of a distributor as well. Is that, a highlight for you, seeing him continue to evolve and seeing him become, you've had some challenges in the depth of that position recently. So Oso being able to handle that seems like a good thing for this team.
Yeah, he's still playing the same position, but he's handling the ball. And that gives us some real versatility. I told the guys today in practice, when Oso's bringing the ball up the floor, it's an advantage for us because they have a choice. They can either defend him with their big guy, and we obviously have an advantage there because Oso's quicker than him, or they can take him with someone else, and now their bigger guy is guarding one of our other guys. So now we have an advantage because we have another name for it, but their big is out on the floor, and that puts him in an uncomfortable position. And so every time he was handling the ball out on the floor, bringing it up, something good happened for him. There was one time where we set 2 pick and rolls for him in the middle of the floor. They kind of got confused. They switched, and then Tyler was wide open under the basket, and he just kind of hooked past it into Tyler, and Tyler laid it up with his left hand. So, yes, we love the fact that he's distributing the ball well. We want the ball in his hands. The best thing about that game, and this is not a takeaway from anyone else on our team, or one of the best things, is Tyler Kolek, Cam Jones, Oso Ighodaro. They were the ones facilitating almost all the action that we had, and then we had everyone else on our team playing off of them.
That's great. Also, the way you described him right there in some of that game planning sort of reminds me of like as the tight end position in football became more elite and you had to make a choice if you were defending a tight end, if you were going to go with a slower linebacker or a speedy but smaller defensive back, right? So it always felt like a mismatch. So if you had a guy like a Rob Gronkowski, you really could take advantage of that.
Oso is a mismatch for sure. Yeah. And that's one of the things that makes him, I think, desirable for even the next level is because he can do a lot of different things. He's unique. Think about this. How many times can you turn on a college basketball and watch a guy at 6'10" get 5 dunks, but then also use pick and rolls several times and create baskets for himself or his teammates? That's kind of a rare. You don't see both of those things. And so we're grateful to have that on our team.
Let's go through some of your guys specifically. It's been a wild 6 weeks for Cam Jones, reaching the 1,000-point milestone that we celebrated. I believe it was Monday as well, where he was recognized for that. But having some offensive struggles as well. What has been his approach and his attitude during this stretch?
Just stay with the process, continue to work. He lives in the gym. He's got a great way about him. He's very, very confident, but at the same time, he's hard on himself. But I think that, Cam's a guy that he's such a natural scorer, and he really kind of defines himself by scoring. But he also, I think, has gained a maturity and is gaining a maturity more and more that he knows that his team needs more than that from him. And I thought that he took a really good approach towards defense in that Villanova game, and we need that.
Let's talk about some of the injuries that your team has been dealing with. What's the latest on Sean Jones, who we all watched tear his ACL in that game against Butler?
Really not much new other than, we're preparing for surgery for Sean, which is coming up. And if everyone can, make sure they keep Sean in their thoughts and prayers and just kind of send good vibes his way, because anytime a player goes through a major injury like this with a major surgery following, it's obviously a mixture of emotions, and it's, they need support. But our guys have really rallied behind Sean. We love Sean, and as I told him today, we're getting ready to go play in the Garden in a couple days, and I told Sean, I said, you will be back playing in the Garden and everywhere else where we play and attacking and doing the great things you do.
Chase Ross as well. We've been monitoring his shoulder injury. When does it look like we can see him back out on the court?
Still TBD. He got hurt 12 days ago. So the nature of that injury is such that it has to heal and kind of be left alone for 2 weeks, and then it can be reevaluated. So he's done some rehabilitation. He's gaining some more movement. But he's not ready to play or even really close yet. But he'll get an evaluation early in this upcoming week, and then hopefully be back soon.
So, of course, injuries always mean opportunity for other guys, and we've been
Yes.
watching Zayd Lowry, who had those back-to-back threes in the game on Monday. How are you feeling about his growth and progress?
I feel great about Zayd. I love the way that he's coming into his own. Zayd comes from a single-parent home, much like myself. Unlike me, I grew up with brothers. He grew up with 3 sisters, so he was the only male in his home. And, he has a mom who, worked several jobs and sacrificed for him and his daughters, and really, really had her thumb on him, his whole childhood. She really, was in charge of everything. So Zayd did a good job of doing what his mom said. But when he got here, we said, listen, man, you're going to have to go from compliance, which is doing what you're told, to commitment, which is you owning and having a passion and excitement for doing everything that goes into you reaching your goals. And I'm really proud of him. He got here in late May. It's now, January, and in that span of time, he's grown a great deal. He's obviously taken advantage really well, I think, of the added opportunity that's come about because of injuries, and that's really all you can ask for from a young guy.
And lastly, we have Trey Norman here with us this evening. We're going to talk to him in just a few moments. What do we need to know about this young, energetic guard?
Trey Norman, well, you can ask him about the dub step dancing.
The dub step dancing?
Yep, you can ask him about that.
Okay.
That was a question on our Team Who Dat. We do something called Team Who Dat. We try to get to know each other more. That stumped the whole team. Nobody knew it was him. And what else? This is a guy who's going to be an all Big East player. You can mark my words. He will be an all Big East player. And he comes from a lot of winning. He's done a lot of winning over the course of his young career. And he's very cerebral and smart as a player and as a person. He's taken on a really challenging major here. He can tell you about that. But on the court, we're working towards getting him to, have the clarity where he doesn't have to think so much every second that he's out there. He can kind of play instinctually, and he's getting better with it. You saw a great drive in the Villanova game where, he did a great job reading a play, attacked to the middle, and had an awesome finish around the basket. That occurred when he was able to be present and not overthink. There's been some other plays where he's maybe, like most freshmen, gotten a little spun around because his mind got tied up. It's a process, but I'm telling you, this guy, I would say of all the players on our team that we recruited, was the best player in high school and AAU of all the guys that we've recruited to come in here. Now, that doesn't mean you come in and you set the world on fire right away. But what that does mean is, man, he's got it in him to continue to grow and develop and mature. And what I like is that he's had to earn everything he's gotten this year, and he's kind of done it the hard way. And as he continues to gain traction, great things are going to happen for him, and he's going to help our team more and more.
Well, we are very much looking forward to chatting with Trey in just a few moments here at Marquette Basketball at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum. Stick around. We roll on here at Marquette Thursdays, live from Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum in downtown Milwaukee. Tonight's Marquette player interview is brought to you by Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank, the official banking partner of Marquette University and home to Marquette Checking with free ATMs nationwide. And we are joined now by Trey Norman. Everybody, let's give him a hand for hanging out with us tonight at Motor Bar and Restaurant. So your coach gave us a few things that we need to talk to you about. We'll get to those in just a few moments. We don't know a ton about you, so let's start at the very beginning. When did you first know that you could have a future in this game?
I would say around my 8th grade year. Everything before that was kind of just, pee-wee basketball, just getting up and down, throwing the ball in the hoop, trying and stuff like that. But around my 8th grade year, I started to go to, camps around the country with my father. We used to travel, just take a bunch of road trips and see what I can do. Once I started making, all-star tournaments and all-star games in those camps, I kind of gained a little bit more confidence. And then I made a vow to myself that I'll play varsity my 9th grade year. And then I went to school. I went to my public school, Tech Boston, and I ended up making the team. I didn't have the greatest role, but I was on the team, and we ended up winning the championship. And then kind of from there, I grew a little bit. I had a growth spurt, and it was from there I kind of had a confidence that I can probably do something with basketball.
So you've been setting your intentions for a very long time, and obviously you've had success in that space. You told me a great story during the break. I asked you if you played any other sports. I asked if you played football. You said you did when you were little, but then what made you get out of football?
It was a rainy day, and I was just confused on why we were still outside playing. And I just didn't like the idea that, a bunch of people yelling at me, it's cold and it's raining, so I just decided to stay indoors with my sport.
You were like, I can play basketball indoors
Exactly.
all the time, and I don't need to deal with this weather stuff, so
Exactly.
I love that for you. Give me a name of a player in the NBA who you think you model your game after.
I'll say Terrence Mann. Shout out Terrence Mann. That's one of my closest friends, but yeah, I would say him. He's from the inner city of Boston, just like me, and we kind of have the same path. He played for the same AAU team as me and things of that nature. And just the way he plays the game is really simple. He can go off and, get his own bucket, but he's really a system guy, and he's able to fit in any system that he's put into it, which is why he has a contract in the league, and he's been in the league for 5+ years. So, yeah, I'll say Terrence Mann.
We're talking with Trey Norman here at Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum for Marquette Thursdays. I know that this team is very close. We always talk about the connectivity. It is a core principle, and it leads to a lot of your success. Who's the guy on this Marquette basketball team that you feel comfortable going to for advice or guidance or encouragement?
There's a lot of guys, but I'll say Oso. Oso, he's a great mentor. Since I got here, since day one, he's really put an emphasis on, just putting his arm around the freshmen, me, Zayd, and Al, and just making sure that we know that we have someone to talk to who's been through the process. Like, he didn't come here going for 30, playing 30 minutes a game. Like, he came here and played, 39 minutes the whole season his freshman year. So he knows how it feels when, when we're down on ourselves or we just lack confidence sometimes after, a bad game or we didn't play as much as we would hope. So I would say also he's really a good leader. He's been helping us through the whole season so far.
With everything that this team did last year and accomplished, there were obviously very high expectations headed into this season. You immediately adopt those as soon as you become a member of this team, and yet the team goes through a bit of a rough patch, losing those back-to-back games. Take me inside the locker room. What was the mindset and the mentality for this Marquette team as you guys were navigating that?
Well, directly after those losses, I mean, it's human nature. We kind of got down on ourselves. Obviously, we didn't want to lose 2 back-to-back away and a home. But it wasn't long after till we realized, it's okay. Like, the 2 losses didn't impact our end goal of the season, which is to win a national championship and Big East championship. And we realized, these are just learning curves and that there's a great opportunity to learn in those losses. And, we just we made it clear that we wanted to bounce back and be stronger and just get more connected through those losses, and then that's what we did.
Coach talked about doubt and how you have to really work on like overshadowing any doubt that starts to creep in. How do you personally deal with any questions of inadequacy or am I good enough? And sometimes guys deal with imposter syndrome. What are the ways that you combat those?
I just talk to myself and tell myself that I put in the work. I put in a lot of work to get to where I'm at, and I know what I'm doing now isn't the end. I'm more so of a long-term thinker.
Work in progress.
Yeah, so anytime I'm down on myself about a practice or a game, I just know like next year or the year after, I'm gonna be 10 times better than where I'm at today, and that's kind of how I keep myself out of the gutter, and just knowing that I continue to put in the work, and that's all I can do right now is just continue to work and learn, and my end result will reach me eventually.
I talked with Coach a little bit ago about how Dwayne Wade was such a key figure making that $3 million donation to the university and to the basketball program, and he spoke to your team beforehand. What was the message that you took away from him chatting with you guys?
Just be desperate. He told us that we needed to play with a level of desperation to get this win, and that our 2 back-to-back losses, they hurt, but I mean they showed us that we weren't immortal, and like we weren't as high as we probably thought we were. Like it's possible for us to lose, so it kind of gave us a type of humility, and he just told us to be desperate and go out there and fight for everything like it's the last game, and I feel like we took his message to heart, and you guys can see in that Villanova game, like we were playing with a level of clarity and desperation through the whole 40 minutes, and that's what got us the win.
I love that you guys keep leaning on desperation, although I keep hearing in my mind, like, how do you differentiate between desperation and panic? Because we know that panic will have a negative impact, but desperation feels like it's sort of teetering that way, but not quite over the edge.
I feel like it's kind of having a balance between just doubt and confidence, like we had just talked about. I feel like with desperation, we know, we accept that we can lose if we're not our best selves on defense and offense and culturally, but we still have that confidence. Like, we are Marquette, obviously, and that we've done a lot of great things, and we have a lot of great talent on the team, and that if we're our best self, if we're all connected, then there's nothing that could beat us. So I feel like throughout the game, just having that confidence but not getting too high and too low just is where the balance is at between desperation and panic.
We talked about the Villanova game and how the big three, which obviously is Oso and Tyler and Cam, absolutely went off. What is it like sharing a bench, sharing the court with those guys when they are so clearly in the zone?
It's amazing. I mean, when they're going crazy, and whether I'm in the game or on the bench, it's just always nice to be around. I'm always going to give great energy when they score, when they do something great, and it's just amazing, to see the level of like passion and clarity in their eyes, especially like Oso and Tyler. Like when they really go out there and just really go after it, it's nothing better to watch, because those 2 guys are amazing. Things they do on the floor nobody else can do. So I'm just glad to be here while they're here.
You're over there taking mental notes?
Yeah, for sure.
The whole time?
For sure.
All right, your coach told us that you have a very challenging major. Share with the folks here and who are listening on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee what your major is and how you chose that path.
I'm a finance major, and I chose a path in high school. I just knew that with the basketball route, I didn't want other people managing my money after college and not me knowing.
Oh, so you have trust issues.
I guess you could say that. I got a little bit of trust issues, but I didn't want people to manage my money and me not knowing what was going on and like being blind to it. So I was like, I don't really like math that much. I don't really like writing a bunch of papers. I don't really like any of the subjects, to be honest. But finance is gonna help me with the long-term goal of just me managing my money as I'm older. So I was like, why not?
They told you that there is some math in finance, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of math?
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But I love that. You probably heard a cautionary tale at some point about an athlete who had success and who was taken advantage of by people that they had put around them and put in positions of trust, and you were like, that's not happening to me.
Exactly.
I kind of like that. He told us to also ask you about this phrase that I've never heard before. I had to write it down. Dub step dance. What is a dub step dance?
It's just a type of dancing. It's more, how do I describe it? It's more like popping and locking, in lack of better words. I was really obsessed with dancing when I was a kid, probably from like 5 to like I was like 9.
Oh, you got a cheering section back there. I have written here on your notes that you were a hip hop dancer.
Yeah, I used to watch all the dancing movies, and I used to go outside to the parks before I would like play basketball and just dance in a little circle. Or like sometimes when I go to Celtics games, I'll be walking out and like the people on the side of the streets, like, you know, making music with the little carts and stuff. I'll just go in the middle and start dancing. It was really a passion of mine until I got older and had to pick a side, either dancing or basketball. My mom thought I could do both, but I told her I had to just pick a side. So.
Okay, but hold on a minute. There must be some crossover, and that's not a basketball term in this sense, but there must be some, like, where being good at dance and the body awareness and, like, the kinesiology and all of those things, they must benefit you in some way on the basketball court as well, right?
I mean, if it did, it did. I'm not really sure. I was really young. I was really just doing it just to do it, but maybe that's where I get a little bit of movement from is my dancing history. So.
Dancing background. You know, I always hear about kids who have success in like football or even basketball, and you find out that they, when they were younger, were in gymnastics, and they learned that body awareness that then benefits them in their sports. Last thing I have for you here is that your favorite actor is Adam Sandler, and your favorite comedian is Kevin Hart. Are you funny?
I guess you can say that. People laugh when I just talk regular, so they think I'm a funny guy, but I wouldn't say I'm a comedian.
Well, it has been a joy hanging out with you this evening. Thanks so much for all you do. We will certainly be wishing you and your teammates well as you continue on this stretch in the season. Trey Norman, everybody, let's give him a hand for hanging out with us here at Motor Bar and Restaurant.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, we'll get back with Shaka Smart. We'll talk about the upcoming stretch that Marquette has. He mentioned going to New York, taking on St. John's. We'll talk about playing in the Garden and more when Marquette Thursdays continues right after this. Buffalo Wild Wings is the official viewing party location for Marquette road games this season. Check out the Golden Eagles watch party schedule at gomarquette.com/BWW. The next watch party is this Saturday, January 20th at the New Berlin Buffalo Wild Wings location. Marquette takes on St. John's at 11 a.m. And I am back with Shaka Smart, and I want to talk about this schedule because you are headed into a tough part of the Big East schedule. 6 of the next 8 games coming up on the road. What is the message to the team as you know that for most of these games you'll be away from Milwaukee, away from home?
Yeah, honestly, we focus on one game at a time. We don't really
No stretches, no chunks.
As a staff, to some extent, we'll kind of look at different segments of the year, and that will affect some of our planning. But in terms of what we message to the guys on a daily basis, it's really about the current game, the current practice, even preparing for the day, and us really doubling down on our process. A lot of people make different things of going on the road or playing at home. The same thing's going to winning on the road. Now, there are some unique challenges when you go on the road. For example, they've got their crowd behind them, and we are outnumbered in the building, but it's still 5-on-5. It's about getting the team stops required, getting the team scores that allow us to move the scoreboard the right direction.
We mentioned a moment ago that your next opponent is St. John. That, of course, is in the epic Madison Square Garden, and I know you take a lot of pride in the Big East Championship being there and playing in those types of places. What do you tell your guys about playing in that space? Put it into words for us.
It's a great opportunity. Most famous arena in the world. An arena where so many great moments have occurred from a basketball standpoint and even beyond. One of the cool things about being in the Garden is when you're back kind of in the guts of the building, all around the building they have these pictures on the wall of different performers that have performed, and it's got like the timestamp and when that was. And it's pretty neat, just being in the same place that Elton John performed, however many times, or all these different, R&B artists, hip-hop artists, Jay-Z, and so from a basketball standpoint, I'm fortunate. I've gotten to coach in the Garden several times. I don't know how many, but going back to my first time was in 2010. We played in a tournament there where we played a couple games, and there's nothing like it. The fans, the energy there, and, of course, the Big East tournament, that was a special experience. But this will be the first time, for me coaching in the Garden as a road team, playing against St. John's as a home team. And it's a great opportunity for our team, and we're looking forward to Saturday.
And did I see that you've never coached against Rick Pitino before for as long as he's been coaching college basketball?
I did once as an assistant, but not as a head coach. No.
I think I saw he has nearly 1,200 games under his belt, and that brings up another milestone. You are coming up on your 500th game as a head coach. I don't know how much you think about those milestones, but what does it mean to you to have been, like your wife just shook her head behind. She was like, nope, not. I mean, to be around that long, to have this type of longevity and success, that must be pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that I've coached almost at 500 games. You just kind of focus on the game that you're in. I think the main thing that says is I've been coaching for a while, but then you compare that to what you just said about Rick Pitino, 1,200 games. I used to be the young coach. Now I'm kind of the medium-age coach.
That's how it goes for everybody.
And, one of the folks in the crowd here tonight, they said, do you plan to still be coaching at the age that Rick Pitino is at right now? And I said, I'm just focused on Saturday. But I love this opportunity to be around our guys every day. They do keep you young. It's a heck of a challenge playing in this league and coaching in this league, and especially with the expectations that we have for our group and what we want to do. It keeps you on your toes, but there's nothing I would rather be doing, and there's not a group that I would rather be doing it with.
Last thing for you, I know you were talking about how appreciative you are for the home crowd, especially the students who came out this past week and on Monday, and just how much have they boosted you guys through this tough Big East schedule?
They always do. Our crowd is phenomenal. And when you get the students back, there's an extra energy in the building. They have a way of making things difficult on the other team. And so it's a special feeling. I'll never, take for granted the crowd and the atmosphere that we have in Fiserv. But as you mentioned, we'll be going on the road, and for us, it's a chance to like really get closely connected around what it takes and having a level of resolve and toughness to go do that over 40 minutes.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you. Go out there, win some games on the road. Thanks for hanging out with us here tonight.
Thank you.
He's Shaka Smart. Always great to chat with him, give us great insight on the program. We will take a break, wrap up the show right after this, live from Motor Bar and Restaurant at the Harley Davidson Museum. The Golden Eagles' 6 remaining home games are already sold out. Tickets are going fast. For a limited time, customize a 4-game mini plan for a discounted rate. For more information or to secure your seat today, go to gomarquette.com/tickets or contact us via email at athletics@marquette.edu. Our next show is January 25th. Cam Jones will be our player guest. Thanks for hanging out with us for Marquette Thursdays at Motor Bar and Restaurant here at the Harley Davidson Museum.